Hey guys, it's Stacy from My Petite Garden. Welcome back to another video, and if you're new here, welcome and hope you stick around. Today we are finally going to do an updated houseplant tour. So this will be, I guess, the summer houseplant tour. I think now is a really good time for me to spend some time to kind of show you guys around and see what has changed in my houseplant collection. I had recently mentioned over on Instagram that I did quite a big unhaul of my houseplants, and I find that every year around this time, which is like the height of summer, is when I feel the need and the urge to unhaul some more plants from my collection and to make my houseplant collection just a little bit smaller and more manageable, because I feel like during this time, not only am I spending more time doing things outdoors and trying to just spend more time with friends and family and just doing activities outside of the home, I also find that there are a lot more bad things going on with my plants, such as pests and just things I can't control. But the way I find I can deal with it is by unhauling them and making my plant collection smaller so that I can manage these issues better. Recently, I've had to unhaul a lot of plants. Like, I sold a lot of plants, I passed some plants on, and then I also had to toss quite a few. The ones that I had to toss is because of an ant issue. Every year, ants is a problem here. Like, you cannot avoid it. It's just something that you have to kind of anticipate happening, and sometimes I get lucky where they don't come into the home and attack my plants, but this year they did. And it's like a overnight thing, like where they just suddenly show up, and of course they're looking for food, and where else would they look but in my plants. I also took this opportunity to really just clean up my plant space, and as you guys know, I use plants to kind of as decor, to decorate around my house, so I have them scattered everywhere. So it's not like I have a plant room or like a dedicated space where I just have plants in that one area. I have it scattered all over my home because I like the look of having greenery all over my house, but at the same time I don't want it to look cluttered or feel like I'm hoarding plants. So I still want it to look very clean and spacious and just not overwhelming. So I took this opportunity to consolidate some of my plants because I had done some propagations of some of my plants, and so I had like multiple plants, and what I did was combine some of those. I would say my plant collection has definitely gone down a lot in size. I feel really good about it right now because just yesterday I went and watered my plants, and it took me no more than 20 minutes to water everything. First floor, second floor, all of my plants. Ultimately, I think I am much happier. It is much less overwhelming for me, and that is what keeping plants for me personally is all about. I need it to be a happy place with my plant space. I will take you guys along now, and I hope you guys enjoy. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I always appreciate it when you guys leave me a comment because I love chit-chatting with you guys. All right, let's get started. We're going to start off in the living room, and as I go through these plants, I'm just going to shut off the grow lights that I have on so it's easier to see. The first plant is my Filidendrin Gladhands. This plant has definitely grown a lot this summer, and it is looking very beautiful. The leaves are upsizing very nicely. I repotted this probably not too long ago, but I think I'm going to need to give it a taller pot so that the stake can hold up the plant a little bit better. As the leaves mature on this philodendron, it gets skinnier and less leafy, so more skeleton-like, and I really like that about this plant. It is constantly working on putting out new leaves, so that is really nice to see. And you'll see here there is a new leaf forming. So for those of you who are impatient like myself, this is a really good plant option for you. Next up there is my hurricane cactus. If I can find the scientific name, I'll put it on the screen. I just don't recall it at the moment. This is definitely a very easygoing plant. I have this getting very minimal light, to be honest. It's right next to a north-facing window, and it's doing fine. It's growing very nicely. However, I think if you give it enough light, the segments on this plant, it will spiral, and I think that's where the name hurricane cactus comes from, but I could be wrong. One of the largest changes you'll notice in this video will be my Mandula pothos. You'll see that I have chopped it all the way back, and it used to be very lush and growing very long and touching the floor. Well, this summer I've decided to give it a full-on haircut, give it a fresh start, because as soon as height of summer came around, I noticed the leaves started to look really tired, yellowish, and just having a rough time. So I thought I'd give it a refresh, and I am glad I made that decision. Then the last plant I have here on this shelf is my Hoya Carnosa. It is growing very nicely, as always, ever since I put it into pond, and the leaves are definitely greening up much nicer now. It used to be almost like a chartreuse color, so now it's definitely growing out to be much more greener, and there's constantly new growth, so I'm really happy about that. Moving on to some hanging plants by my sliding doors. The first one here is my Discidia Variegata. This has been around for a while now, so you guys should be pretty familiar with it. It is still growing in its nursery pot. I have not repotted this, and I've been tempted many times this season to do it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it because it's just growing very nicely right now. And I probably will eventually repot it, maybe before the summer ends, but for now I'm just gonna enjoy it. Right next to that is my Scindapsus pictus Silver Splash. This one I recently repotted as well because it was not retaining any water. It literally poured right through, and when I took it out, it was so pot bound. I had to actually cut about half the root ball off just to maintain it, because this was the largest pot I had in hand right now, and I usually don't like to hang really large terracotta pots. Moving on to this plant shelf, I now only have plants on the top level of this shelf, whereas I used to have it on, I believe, 2 levels, and at one point I had it on all 3 levels. So I'm slowly downsizing how much space my plants take up on my shelves. The first one here that I am referring to is my Peperomia Hope. It is growing very nicely. It's very long, so I think at some point I'm going to have to start chopping and giving it a haircut. Then next to that, I have a propagation of my Peperomia Hope, and it's looking very cute and it's growing very nicely as well. In the back corner there, I have my Silver Dollar Vine. It is growing a lot, and right now it's actually pushing out 2 new vines, and you could see it pointing up to the sky there with all its new foliage. This is my Gracilis lipstick plant. This was one of the ones that I had given a little trim because it was growing a little bit sparse and the leaves were a little bit tired. So now it's starting to put out some new growth again. In the back I have my Philanthus mirabilis, and then here is my Sinningia. Some of my Caudex plants are putting out new growth, some of them are currently dormant. Some of them, once I cut them back, they start pushing out new growth almost right away. And then on this little guy, this is my Stephania, and you could see a little bit of green there, so it's starting to push out new leaves again. And then down here is my Dioscorea. Next, we're going to move on to the other side of my living room, which is my east-facing window side. And we're going to take a look at the two plants that I've had here. The first one is my Philodendron micans. You guys know I've had this for a really long time, and it is absolutely growing wild now all over my terracotta shelf. And I really love the look of it. Below it is my Scindapsus pictus exotica. This is probably one of the easier Scindapsus that I've ever grown. You can see the size of these leaves, and it gets very minimal light, a little bit of filtered morning light from the east facing window, but it's growing really nicely, and it's even started to crawl onto my wall, which I don't know if I should just let it keep growing or detach it, but I don't have the heart to take it off right now. Now we're going to move on to my dining room area where I have my larger shelf along with my bay window plants. Similar to my other plant shelf, I now only have plants on really the top level of the shelf, and then I have that big pothos on the very top. So we have definitely downsized quite a bit. This here is my Ribsalis paradoxa, and I finally combined my two plants together into one pot to give it that really full draping look, and I really am glad I did that because I think it looks so much better as a full pot, and it dangles all the way down to almost the floor. This is just such an amazing plant, and I'm so proud of myself for growing this into this size. At the very top of the shelf is my golden pothos, and I've had that for a really long time, so it trails all the way down to my lower level shelves, and I just really like the look of it. Here I have my Discidia tonsuensis that I had propagated with you guys because the bottom of this original plant was full of root mealies, so I repotted everything, chopped everything up, and it is rooted now, and it has been putting out new growth, so it is very exciting. Next to that is some Sysus Quadrangularis cuttings that are now rooted, and then here is my Adenia glauca. It is very adorable. I absolutely love this little caudex. The leaves are so adorable on this, and I just love the way it's growing. Here is a propagation of my Marble Queen pothos, and it was just a cutting that I took and I decided to stick it into some fluval. This is my Pilea peperomioides white splash. Moving on to my bay window, the first plant here is my Peperomia kimnachii. I had combined, I think, two plants into this one pot, and now it's just one full plant, which I much more appreciate and enjoy. Down here is my Philodendron callosum that I recently repotted with you guys as well in a previous video. It's doing really well. I absolutely love the look and structure of this plant. Absolutely, hands down, my favorite philodendron for sure. And that right there is the newest leaf that it put out. This here is my Philodendron Burl Marks Variegata. This one I gave a big haircut as well. I trimmed a lot of the lower leaves off that were looking tired, so it's looking a lot lighter now and just overall healthier. On top of that, I have my Rick-Rack cactus. Nothing much to say about this except it is growing as nicely as it always had. Causes me no trouble whatsoever. So this is definitely one that I am happy to keep around. Moving on to my main Sysus Quadrangularis plant. This is, I guess you would call the mother plant where all my propagations come from. It is growing really, really big and really long. So this is one of those plants where I just have to constantly be chopping it and propagating it. And sometimes I don't even bother propagating anymore. You'll see that one of the segments has gotten so long that I had to hook it on top to the other hook on the other side. Over here is my Adenia Veninada, another one of my Codex plants, very similar to the Adenia glauca, but I believe the growth pattern is a little bit different and the leaf shape is slightly different as well. This one is so funky. It has grown really tall and now it is latched on to my Sysus Quadrangularis, as you'll see. But I really love it. I think it's so fun and I definitely recommend growing these Adenias because they are just so much fun. We're now moving on to my kitchen area and I have a bunch of plants on the window ledge here. This is a south-facing window, so it gets a bit of afternoon sun. The first plant here is our second propagation of the Discidia tonsuensis that I did with you guys together in another video. And like the other one, this one is rooted as well and it's putting out new growth, as you can see. Next to that is another of my Codex plants. This one is my Fauxia Edulus, another one that is very funky and fun. Definitely another fun one to grow. The vines on this one grows quite wild. If you don't give it something to climb onto, it'll probably want to climb onto itself. So you have to go in and untangle these vines from time to time. Next to that is my variegated string of hearts. It's pretty much just doing its thing as usual. I did trim it down quite a bit recently. And then here is my Discidia Lanciolada. It is growing really nicely this season. And you can see it grows all the way down there. So it's very, very long now. I think at some point I'm gonna have to propagate or chop it. I absolutely love the minimal look of this Discidia, and I might say this might be my favorite Discidia because it grows really nicely and I love the minimal look of it. Next to that is my Sysus Edulus. I think one of you guys helped me identify this one. It's just a little propagation that I took and it's all rooted now, so it's putting out new growth. And the last plant on this window ledge is my Hoya Carnosa narrow leaf. This one used to be in my bedroom, but you'll see that I downsized my bedroom plant collection. So I moved this one down here and it is looking very nice. This one always grows very easily and nicely for me, so I never have to worry about this too much. As with any Hoya Carnosa, I feel like they're like the easiest Hoyas to grow. And then hanging next to that window ledge is my Ribalis Pentapatera. I always have issues saying the name, so it'll be on the screen. This one is putting out a lot of new growth this season, so that's very exciting. But at the same time, I feel like I am constantly battling mealybugs on this one. I constantly have to be refilling the systemics in the soil. just making sure I stay on top of it so that it doesn't get bad. Down here on this shelf, I have one plant only, and I forgot the name of this plant right now, but I'll put it on the screen because you guys helped me identify it, I believe. This guy is a very slow grower. It's probably put out like 1 or 2 segments since I've had it, and I mean, I've had it for maybe close to a year now-ish, but I just absolutely love the quirkiness and the structure of the segments of this plant. Moving on to my son's room, I have 3 plants in here. The first one is my Ribbalis Ewaldiana. It has grown quite a bit since I acquired it, and this one is very wild and funky, so if you guys like those type of plants, I think this is definitely one you should add to your collection. Up against this wall is the Simatra Sarcoila. I actually have to keep the tag on this plant because I constantly forget the name of this one. This plant has a very adorable leaf shape. It reminds me of like a little starburst or like a little flower bloom, and you can't tell by just looking at it, but the leaves are actually pretty succulent, so it holds on and retains water pretty well. And then on the opposite spectrum, I have my Sissiscus Digitata, which retains no water because the leaves on this one is very, very thin. So you have to make sure this is watered well every time and often. But it is also another very beautiful trailing plant. The leaves on this one are very adorable as well. And when the new growth comes out, it's actually a darker orange color. So another one that I've really enjoyed growing. Finally, let's move on to our bedroom, and will be the last plant space that I have to show you guys, and you'll notice that I have downsized quite a bit in here. The first plant I want to talk to you guys about is the Matapylum Sandadoo. Almost called it a philodendron again. I love this plant. It is so stunning. It is constantly putting out new growth. So again, for those of you who need to see constant growth on your plants, this is a good one to have. And has grown really large, and you guys know I repotted it recently. It's a lot happier now. Next to that, facing the window, is my Hoya Carnosa Wilbur Graves China. This is so gorgeous as well. I feel like this plant has just kind of taken care of itself. I was worried about the silveriness and maintaining that on this plant, but it just pretty much kept going, and the leaves are getting so gorgeous. I have this facing my west facing window, but it just gets a little bit of filtered afternoon light, and it seems to really enjoy this spot, so I am not moving it. It seems to be doing well. I'm so happy with this one. You guys will notice I have not kept a lot of Hoyas in my collection, and the ones that I keep are definitely Carnosas. Next to that, I have my Filidendrin Squammy Pharoh. This one has really upsized its leaf size. It's crazy big. Now you see how big that leaf is. I don't know whether I'm going to keep this plant or unhaul it. I'm still on the fence about this one because Squammy Pharoh is just not one that I particularly like. It came with, I believe, one of the imports years ago, and I've just kept growing it. But at this point in my plant collecting life, I just want to keep plants that I really love. So I'm on the fence about this one. Then on this shelf that I used to have a lot of hanging plants, I now only have this one pothos plant. It's actually a mixture of some marble queen pothos and some golden pothos propagations that I just stuck into a pot together. This shelf will mainly be for books and some decor. Moving on to the other part of our bedroom, I have my large Matapylum Gold Eye. Another one of my favorite plants. It is finally growing more than 4 leaves at once after I repotted it into a larger pot. So I am very excited about that. And you can see it is putting out a new leaf right now. The leaves on this are so beautiful. The spiral pattern of its leaves are just so stunning. I think it's so unique and just crazy that this is nature. This is the new leaf. It's so beautiful. The last plant of this tour will be my Ribbalis Pyloroccarpa, and it's very suiting because this was probably one of the oldest plants that I have in my collection, and it has stayed with me for many years. I have repotted it finally recently from its tiny little pot, and hopefully it'll be a little bit happier, although it's always been very easygoing with me and it's always putting out growth. Alright guys, so that will be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this updated houseplant tour. If you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to leave them in the comments section down below, and I'll definitely get back to you when I get a chance. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!